Hey folks, Randy here with Doing Cut and Trim. So on the last video I posted on this channel, I referenced a video where I talked about family and business, but never actually posted the video. It was uploaded to YouTube. It was supposed to go live, whatever day it was supposed to go live, and I watched it again, and it was really rambly, and it was kind of negative, and it talked a lot about some people um, that are public figures, but I don't actually know, and I just didn't like it. It just it came off way more negative than I prefer. So I figured I would take another stab at it since I referenced it in a video. And hopefully this will be a lot faster and more to the point now that I know what I was actually trying to say. And that was talk that. Let me think how it started. I don't know if you're familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk, but he talks a lot about business and working hard um, and see, I'm not even doing it. I'm not even doing it right now. It's like a hard topic to get into. So I'll just start with the punchline and then we'll work backwards. When you start a business, you have to decide. I actually, you know what? I know how to start it. I'm going to start it over again. Hey folks, Randy here with Doing Cut and Trim. So, when you're first starting your business, you need to put a lot of thought into what your business is going to look like. Not just what it's going to look like when you start, but what it's going to look like 5 years from now. When you have like a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, stuff like that. What are you shooting for? And so I did that in my business. And one of the things that I did in mine is I knew I wanted it to be big. This is the business I'm going to use to provide for my family for the rest of my life and also my son's life. Obviously, my wife too. But so there were things I wanted to do on the ground level to kind of prepare the tent, strengthen the stakes, blah, 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 this, stuff that's in the Bible. So one of the things I did was, even though I wasn't in a position where I needed something like Service Autopilot, I started using Service Autopilot because that's a program that I knew I could stick with for the rest of the time I'm in business. And so I did that. I started thinking about principles of business and how I would conduct myself and philosophies that would govern the way the business runs. One of the main things that we put out there to our customers is our values are God, family, nature, in that order. And that really kind of encompasses how we do things. And I've got all these things implemented at the ground level so that as we grow, the culture of the company will reflect that. If a customer calls and complains and says we did something wrong, we assume they're telling the truth. We never come at it from like, we didn't do that. No, we always say, oh, I'm so sorry that happened. And we immediately go about the process of confirming what they said as soon as possible and then rectifying it. That's just something we've done from the ground level. But another thing that we did at the ground level, and it's really important, especially as we grow, is while we implemented Service Autopilot and we implemented a company culture that puts God first, family second, nature third, and implemented something where we believe our customers are telling the truth. I also implemented something in my business where I made sure I designated time for my family. That my family never had to feel like they were second place to the business. There's a lot of people that have a lot of opinions on that, Gary Vaynerchuk being one of them. And he talks a lot about quality versus quantity when it comes to family time. And while I appreciate what he's saying, and I believe him when he says he spends quality time with his family, I can tell you, family wants quality and quantity. A lot of times as business owners, we like to say we're doing this for our family. And while that's true, that doesn't substitute the time that we need to spend with our significant others. I know a lot of very successful business owners, not just the ones that we all kind of know, like Gary Vaynerchuk, but I know some personally. And, the thing that I've learned from these people is that no matter how big the business gets, it's never going to be big enough to where you can step back and start spending time with family. It'll never happen. It just, it doesn't. I've known several guys that have been in that situation where they were grinding for their family and they were going as hard as they could to build a business for their family. But in the process of doing that, they sacrificed their family so that they could get there. And the tragedy of something like that is they did end up sacrificing their family, and they ended up making it and creating a massive business worth millions. And then the family was gone, though, because they weren't there. They weren't there for their families. They weren't there for their kids. And now they got nothing. I can name a couple times where that's happened. And so, do I think these guys were bad men that happened? I don't. I don't think that they had bad intentions or whatever. And I believe them when they said they were doing this for their family. But I think their family, I know their family would have preferred to actually have had them there and the business be smaller, as opposed to what they have now, which is a rich father, but they don't ever talk to him, don't ever see him, because they weren't there. They didn't put that investment into them. It's kind of a hard thing to say, but we put our time with the things that are most valuable to us. You can invest your money. Your money's not your most important thing. It's your time. Your time is by far the most important thing you own. And you're telling everyone around you what's most important to you by how you spend your time. I'm not saying you shouldn't work. I'm not saying you shouldn't work hard. But if you're not allocating significant time for your family, you're letting them know what's most important. That's why, and I'm not even judging anybody. I could very easily fall into that trap. I'm the kind of guy, man, like, I could work 20 hours a day. I'd love it. It would feel really good. It would be fun. But I love my family, and I want to be there for my family. And I know that about myself, so I set rules in place to protect my family and to protect me, so that I can be there and I can be the father I want to be. These guys that I know, I don't believe they set out to be bad fathers. I don't believe they set out to be bad husbands. But by putting their business first, significantly first, and by sacrificing their family, they got a big business, man. And they're enjoying it. But they're enjoying it by themselves. That family's gone. So just, keep that in mind. As you're growing your business, make sure you're allocating time and you are making sure you have time for your family. It sounds kind of cold to write it down and schedule it, but if that's what you need to do, do it. I do my paperwork early in the morning because I know my wife's not going to be up at 4 a.m. and I know my son's probably not going to be up at 4 a.m. So I start my day early so that by the time 5 o'clock rolls around, I'm done. And I got the rest of the day to spend with them. And I got my weekend to spend with them. Because that's what's most important. They're what's most important. I would rather, 20 years down the line, I'd rather still be broke and working by myself and just barely making it, although that does not describe me right now. I don't know why I said that. But I'd rather be that and still have my wife and son with me than be successful running multiple crews, sitting in an air-conditioned office all day, and then going home to an empty house. I don't want that. And maybe you do, and if you do, fine. But if you don't want that, and you're determined to make this business successful, you need to, from the ground floor, when you're not busy, decide how you're going to handle family, so that when you do become busy, your family's still taken care of. So, I don't know how to end that, but that's what was on my mind, and I did a better job this time than I did the last time I talked about this. So This is Randy with Doing Cut and Trim. Have a good one.